Welcome. I'm Mary Davidson, and it's our community. And you know, you can say a lot of things, but you can't say that our community doesn't have a lot of really interesting people, a lot of different people, and a lot of diverse interests. So today, we are going to welcome Justin Appleberry. But Justin Appleberry isn't just the person that you see before you. He is a wrestler, and he is Michael Strider in another life. But, you know, he has a day job, and he's sales manager at Ringside Boxing, Combat Sports International. So he has a day job, and in that day job, he's Justin Appleberry. But on the weekends, he is Michael Strider. And I saw a quote that it said, "More enduringly than any other sport, wrestling teaches self-control and pride. Now, some have wrestled with great skill, or without it, but none have wrestled without pride." And I think that's true.
Absolutely.
It is. And it's more than a show. And it's more than a spectacular. And I saw you in the article in the Star about you. And I know that you wrestle for Metro Pro.
That's correct.
And what is that?
Metro Pro Wrestling is a local professional wrestling organization that is Chris Goff, who is an anchor for Metro Sports Channel, which is the local ESPN, I guess you would call it. They focus on local sports only. He was a writer for the WWE at one point. Got tired of that, and then he came home, got the job there, and he did a very nice documentary about the history of professional wrestling in Kansas City. And his bosses liked that so much, they said, well, why don't we have a local television show on now? And he said, I don't know. And they said, well, make it happen. And so we are making it happen.
And see, I think he deserves a lot of credit because it takes a lot to get the thing put together and to make it work. And I also think that most of us around here didn't know there was a Metro Pro and that you could see wrestling matches Saturday nights, isn't it?
Yes, Saturday at 11 o'clock on Metro Sports. It's available if you have Time Warner Cable, or you can also get it it's available at Sunflower Cable in Lawrence, and then a couple different outlets, I think, in Nebraska.
When you do this, do you have an audience? You do, don't you?
We do, yes. Yeah. Yes, we just had a TV taping last weekend and had a very almost full house. We had a very, very big house that night. A lot of people showed up.
Well, in preparation, Justin, for this interview, I did my homework, and I watched WrestleMania.
Oh, nice.
Oh, yes, and there were 71,000, I wrote this down, 71,716 people there to see The Undertaker and Triple H wrestle.
Yes.
That's a lot of folks.
Slightly less at the Metro shows.
How many people come?
250, 300 people
well,
would
see,
be a success.
Well, but now that we all know, see, we can come.
Yeah, and it's a better experience, I think, when you're able to be up close and personal at a Metro Pro show as opposed to being in a stadium that size. It's similar to like seeing a rock concert.
Now, if I go, what time do I need to be there?
We start the show at 7 o'clock.
7 o'clock.
Doors open at 6. So when we start on time because we want to get people in and out. You don't want to do too long.
At the Turner?
At Turner Rec Center, yes, in Kansas City, Kansas, absolutely.
So if I'm at Turner Rec Center at 7 o'clock on Saturday night, I can see a wrestling match.
Well, we only do we tape 4 shows during 4 television shows during the pro wrestling show. So their pre-recorded programs are on at 11 o'clock on Saturdays on Metro Sports.
Right, but if I want to see you, can I go any Saturday?
No, one Saturday a month. I think the next one we have is September 18th.
September the 18th.
Yeah, and I'm not.
And how can people find out?
You can go to Facebook. Is very big. You go Metro Pro Wrestling.
Okay.
And you can find out there, or you could go to metropro.com, which is, or even Time Warner. Any of those, and they could get all the dates. All the information.
Okay. Well, I noticed that when I watched The Undertaker and Triple H, there were a lot of staring at each other.
Yes.
And, in the animal kingdom, staring is a confrontational act. And it also puts forth power. Do you stare?
Yes. Yes. Absolutely. A lot of it, too, is acting. You can express more without words than you can without words, or with words. So, facial gestures, stance. All of that stuff is very important in the art of professional wrestling.
Well, yes, and it's also good versus evil usually.
Absolutely.
And are you a good guy or a
I
bad
am
guy?
a good guy right now.
You're a good.
Most of my career, I was a bad guy.
Really?
Yes.
Well, have you always been Michael Strider?
Always have been Michael Strider.
How did you happen on that name?
Well, Justin Appleberry, it just isn't a very intimidating sounding name. So,
No, it isn't.
yeah, not too intimidating. Michael's my middle name, and Strider is a character in the Lord of the Rings books. And I remember reading those when I was 12 to 14, and I said that is the coolest sounding name, and I had Michael Strider in my mind all the way back then and stuff. I just never really realized I'd be a pro wrestler.
But you've always wanted to be a wrestler.
Always did.
Always did.
Always did.
And is Michael Strider sort of you?
He is. He is me. Yeah, it's the best characters in pro wrestling need to be a reflection of yourself in some degrees. He is me with the volume turned up loud. Yeah.
Well, I want to go back to The Undertaker because he has long hair. He comes out in a black long coat, and he has black eye makeup underneath, and he has created a persona that all he has to do is look at the audience and they get all excited.
Sure. Yeah. Now that character is more of a they kind of went more with a comic book theme guy on that. Obviously, he is not a dead man. He's not an eyeliner and stuff like that. His name is Mark, and he's a pretty nice guy. But he really invokes that character just like he would just if he was playing that character in a movie.
He's getting a little old, that boy.
He is old. Yeah. He's been around for a very, very long time. Very long time.
Wow.
Very successful with that too. Very successful.
Oh, he has been very successful. And when you decided, you said you haven't always been a good guy. So you had another character that you had invented as well. What kind of a person was that?
Pretty much the same person. I just, you tell the story when you're the bad guy. You cheat a little bit more. You're a little more.
Poke him in the eye when
exactly.
nobody's looking.
Yeah. Tell the ref look over there and do one of those. You just do things in a different manner when you're a bad guy.
Yeah.
You attack people from behind. Fun stuff like that. Yell at the crowd instead of telling them to cheer for you.
And sometimes they don't yell very nice things at the crowd, and they accept that.
Yeah, it's odd. Sometimes fans like the bad guy.
They do, and they do. And I have to tell you, they had 71,716 people all revved up.
Yeah.
At the wrestle. They really did. Now that is an art.
Yeah.
And so the art is a script and staging and lights and all that kind of stuff. Who writes the script?
In the old days, they were called bookers. Now they're called writers. I think they want to be. I don't.
Does Metro Pro have writers?
Chris Goff, who's the owner, is the booker of Metro Pro, and there is a script that when you come to the show that they have that has the details. When you work for the WWE, they have very, very detailed. They give you, if you're doing a promo, they give you line for line what you're going to say. I feel that is detrimental to the character. I think it's important. We're not making movies here. We're making live action theater. It's important to be able to say, all right, Strider, you're going to be wrestling Mary, and you need to tell her that you're going to beat her. Okay, so then he lets me come up with my own creativity on what I'm going to say.
But you know who's going to win before you start.
Yes.
You do?
Yes.
Okay. And it's to me, it's kind of like a rock concert because you have lights and you have, see, I wore my glittery jacket for the whole, you have lights and you have glitter and you have people in the audience have signs. The whole thing is designed to get the audience all worked up.
Absolutely.
So that they become a part of the play, as it were.
Very much do. Yeah, the fans are just as big a part of it as anything else. And really, it's the ultimate entertainment experience. It is a rock concert. It is a live action theater. It is drama. It is excitement. It is action. It's all those combined, and it's traditionally anywhere from $10 to $20 for a ticket.
Yeah, well, so they deserve a night of entertainment.
Absolutely, absolutely. And if you compare that to a 2-hour movie where you might not like it or you may. Pro wrestling just provides so much different avenues of entertainment and so much fun stuff. It's fun to go to a wrestling show and yell at the bad guys and cheer for the good guys and laugh at the comedy and cringe at the violence and stuff like that. It's a fun time.
And there's a lot of moaning and groaning and blood.
Yes, well,
sometimes
more so
yours.
in my matches than others. Yes, that's
sometimes yours. This is you having had a fork stuck in your head. Derek Stone is your partner here, and he says, I stuck a fork in his head and he bled. I thought, oh my goodness.
That's true.
Did it hurt?
No, not with it. Derek is a not only one of my best friends, but a professional at that, and I trusted him as much as you could trust anybody in there. You have to.
He has a day job too. He
does. He is a DJ. Yeah.
On an adult contemporary music station. I mean, it's not rock and roll and it's not country. It's he lives in South Dakota.
That is correct. Yeah, he just moved there maybe a year ago or less. He was in Denver before that.
Well, and I have to, this is from the newspaper article, which
yes.
I think it's wonderful. It says, here comes Derek Stone. There's no way to describe his performance behavior other than completely certifiably crazy. And he's not really. If you saw him on the street from the safety of your 4-story office, I recommend you run.
Yeah.
Keep an eye on him while you do so. He's crazy fun to watch. And then they're talking about they throw trash cans, they throw chairs, they throw each other, and they throw each other in the chairs, and then they enter the ring. So there is a build-up to the whole thing. Mm-hmm. So you can't just go in there and start. You got to get the audience going.
Yeah, well, it depends on. There's different types of matches. The story goes it's episodic TV. So at one point we were friends. Then Derek went crazy, became the evildoer that he is. Then we would have a traditional match where you would start in the ring and stuff like that. But then at that point, the feud boils up and it can no longer be contained in the ring. So maybe he goes outside. Or he attacks me before I get in the ring, so we fight around the outside a little bit before we get into it. So it doesn't always start outside the ring, but in certain cases, in certain matches, depending on where you're at in the story.
Now that fork in the head put things in place for a grudge match.
Yes.
And when you came back in to the next match with Mr. Stone, you had barbed wire on your shoulder.
That's right. Yes, a big spool of barbed wire. The fork is real and the barbed wire is real as well.
Yes, and it says he wrangles Stone into a headlock and proceeds to scrape the barbed wire back and forth across his forehead, successfully drawing the first blood of the night.
Very nice article.
It was a nice article. Cue the crowd. They go crazy. And isn't that interesting? How do you feel? What goes through your mind when you're doing this?
At the point when the crowd goes crazy, when you are planning on them to go crazy, just satisfaction. You just feel really, really satisfied that people are being entertained and are excited by what you're doing. Because we're all entertainers. We all want people to, certainly I remember watching wrestling when I was a little kid and just the excitement of it all. And there's just a great satisfaction being able to provide that for other people.
Well, and there are different holds in wrestling. So how do you know what you're going to do next? I mean, are you going to choke them or get their arm or get their leg up in the air? Or
yeah.
How does it? I don't know.
There's certainly different ways of scheduling your match or formatting your match. I'm one of the guys where I don't plan a lot out beforehand. You kind of have your finish down, because that you usually want to have a sequence for that, and then you'll have maybe a beginning.
So pinning to the mat is not always the finish. Sometimes drawing blood is.
Yeah, it's what we call a gimmick match. It's it's a first blood match, first guy to bleed, and it's a very nice promotional tool because people are like, man, somebody's going to bleed. I gotta check this
see
out.
This.
Yeah, so we do that, but you just are trained. You know certain things, like you always, if you're putting a wrist lock on somebody, you always do the left arm. And that way they know to have the left arm up there and you know how to get it and stuff like that. You always feed to the same side. Like if your guy punches you and you get knocked down, then you make sure you turn around to the same direction because they're right there. It's a lot of
So it's like a football player. You have to memorize the playbook.
A lot of muscle memory. Yes, a lot of muscle memory.
And so what's really going through your mind is you have to, it's sort of like what I do. I'm talking to you, but I'm thinking what I'm going to talk to you about next.
Yeah, oh yeah, yeah, absolutely. And you have to be prepared to change midstream, because maybe the crowd's comes there and they want to see, comedy that night. Maybe you got planned to go out there and give them
poke somebody's eye out.
Yeah, give them blood and guts. Maybe they don't want to see blood and guts, so you have to then go.
So
to
how do
comedy.
you know?
You feel the crowd.
So it's a matter of experience.
Matter of experience. Pro wrestling, the best way to become a good pro wrestler is to wrestle lots. It's a lot of on-the-job experience. And you have to be able to gauge a crowd. You have to be able to know where they want you to go. And you have to have the ability to bring them along with you.
Justin, how long can you do this?
My wife asks me that every day. And my poor mother,
she worries.
Yes.
I mean, you have all your teeth, and I don't see any scars on your head from being poked with a fork.
Yeah.
But it takes a lot of strength to pick up Mr. Stone, who weighs about 240 pounds
Very
as well.
big man, yes.
He's big,
Yes.
and you have to be able to pick him up. Now, he weighs as much or more than you do.
He does.
How do you do that?
A lot of it is sleight of hand. I'm picking up, but he's jumping for me. So when I'm picking up,
he's not dead weight.
Yeah, no, yeah, he's coming along with me and making sure. See, the interesting thing about pro wrestling is if I'm wrestling Derek, it's my job to make him look as good as possible. It's his job to make me look as good as possible. Because if I'm beating him and I'm making him look as good as possible, I beat a really good guy, and then vice versa.
Well, you also have to trust him not to jump on you and break all your ribs.
Most important thing, most important. You don't want to get a reputation as somebody who hurts guys in the ring, because no one will want to work with you then. I don't want to wrestle a guy who's going to hurt me, because I'm giving you my body pretty much. I have to trust you not to hurt me. And
have you ever been hurt?
Several times. Accidents happen.
Like what happened?
I tore my ACL.
That hurts.
Yeah, I was out for about 6 months, and that had to have major reconstruction surgery.
Yeah.
Broke this hand. Lots of my arm. I got the long sleeve shirts on, but there's lots of scars on the arm here.
I guess.
Couple of concussions, not too bad. Just a lot of bumps and bruises.
Well, I see people when they pick up a chair and they hit somebody with it. What happens? Do they stop before they hit you?
No.
They hit you with it.
Yeah.
Oh.
The kind of the thinking nowadays, as opposed to the old times, you don't really hit. A lot of guys won't take a lot of unprotected shots to the head with a chair, just because of concussions and everything we know now.
You don't want to do that.
So sometimes
they call it scrambling your brains.
Yeah.
Yes.
So that doesn't happen as often, but that those chairs are real. When they hit you, that hurts.
That hurts.
When you get slammed onto the ring, that's wood and metal with a little bit of foam.
Well, and these are big. I mean, you're a big guy. You get slammed on the floor. There's a lot to go splat.
Exactly. Yes, absolutely. So a lot of injuries.
Yeah, I mean that hurts. I just think to myself, oh, now wait a minute. I don't think I want you falling on top of me. Whoa, wait a minute here. Well, and I noticed the Undertaker. He's not young.
Yeah.
And boy, he can pick that guy up and. So you have to, which brings me to ask you, how do you stay in decent shape?
Exercise, diet, just the main way. You
don't eat candy.
What's that?
You don't eat candy.
That's correct. Yes, yeah. A lot of when I started pro wrestling, I was very small. I mean, I was about 6'2", like I am now, but I was maybe 180 pounds. So I was a lot of frustration in trying to gain the weight. I was just eating as much chicken breast and drinking as much protein shakes as I could and lifting.
Well, you got to eat
weights.
pizza and eat candy and
stuff. But I want muscle, not fat. So you have to, there's a whole science to it on how to get that way and stuff like that. So just eventually, as I got older, it's easier to get that kind of strength, and then just. And I've been an athlete my whole life. I always worked out, so it was an easy transition.
But that's the point. These men and women too, because there are women who wrestle as well. They're athletes.
Absolutely,
first
athletes.
and foremost.
Without question.
Yeah.
Very underrated athletes too.
They are.
I think pro wrestlers do not get near the amount of respect just from the community as we really should.
What kind of people are they really?
Good people. I've met most of my closest friends are professional wrestlers. It has enabled me to meet just some of the greatest people that you can imagine.
And they're friends?
Yeah, best friends. Like for example, Derek Stone, one of my best friends. Yeah. Another wrestler on there, Mark Sterling, Jeremy Wyatt, Tyler Cook. These are all guys that are wrestlers who I consider, almost family.
Yeah. But when I looked at you, you look like a regular, normal person. The only thing I would have noticed is, he dyes his hair. Yeah. His hair's, but that's part of your wrestling persona.
Yes.
But that's the only thing about you that stands out really in any way. I mean, I would not say, oh my, there goes a wrestler, or or he's a football player, or a boxer, or a martial art. I know you're interested in martial arts too, and but that doesn't show in when
it's like an actor being out of costume.
Yeah.
It'd be like the guy who plays Tony Soprano. Maybe if he was just sitting around in his shorts and T-shirt and walking down the mall, you wouldn't know he was Tony Soprano until he had
got those muscles.
Yeah, until he had his fancy gangster suit on or something like that.
Yeah.
So.
Well, they are kind of muscular, so you know.
Oh, we're all in shape. I mean, we're all big, strong guys.
Yeah.
We're all boys who never wanted to grow up to.
They still want to play in the sandbox.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It's just that visualization.
We
all of us have just amazing memories of watching wrestling when we were young. And
and I too. I remember watching Lou Thez.
Yeah.
I mean, that's an old one.
Yeah.
I think he's dead.
He is dead, but he is one of the greatest of all times.
Yeah.
Just an amazing guy.
And a nice-looking man. He was muscular. Of course, he had dark hair and really. And Harley Race. You said you know Harley Race.
I do know Harley Race, and that was my dad's favorite wrestler of all time. So I take great pleasure in knowing Harley Race.
And he has a wrestling school.
He does in Eldon, Missouri, 2.5, 3 hours from here.
Yeah.
And just not a finer man can you meet than Mr. Harley Race.
Have most of these people that wrestle been to wrestling school, or have they wrestled in college or in high school or something like that? You have to learn how to do it.
Yeah, most professional wrestlers come from an athletic background. I'd say 99% of them. But you do have to go to a wrestling school, and it's just like choosing a university. You have to go to an accredited one.
Did you do that?
Yes.
Did you?
Yes, I did. I started off at one that was not. I just wanted to get into wrestling, and I had no idea in Kansas City where the heck you would ever do that at. I found one. It was in the back of a snake shop in St. Joe, Missouri.
That's not good.
No. And the guy was a crook. He was a shyster who just wanted to take a big upfront chunk of change to get you to be a professional wrestler, but learn nothing.
Where did you go that you learned something?
I went to another school in St. Joe, Missouri as well.
Oh, did you?
I found out about that one while I was going to this one and started going to there. It was with a gentleman, the man who owned it was named Steve Ward. And then I would go down to Florida and train with an old wrestler named Dory Funk Jr. I would go there for big stretches of time and train with him.
So it took a while. How long did it take before you were good enough to really be a wrestler, a professional wrestler?
A good professional wrestler, or just a professional wrestler? I'd say 5 years before I considered myself really, really good. Actually, and then you just learn new stuff. Like I said, it's a lot of on-the-job experience. So
you learn from the others, and they learn from you.
That's the best thing to do is get in there with an experienced guy.
And poke you in the head with a fork.
Yeah, just I love when I get to wrestle a lot of those old guys like. Jake Roberts or Tracy Smothers or any of those guys, because pretty much you just have to listen to them.
How old are they? Are we talking?
They're older.
Like 50, 60?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. But they're still in good shape.
Decent shape. Yeah, they're not going to want to run the ropes a lot. They're not going to let you slam them a lot. But they'll teach you a lot of that psychology that goes along with telling a good story in professional wrestling.
Well, I know that Bob Geigel used to work around here.
Yeah, he worked at the
racetrack.
at the Woodlands. Yeah, He was the head of security out there. He was the man who ran the old television here into the Central States Wrestling.
Oh, was he?
Yeah, he was the owner and the booker and everything for that. Him and I think Harley owned some of that as well.
And Bulldog Bob Brown.
Bulldog Bob Brown. He's passed since.
Is he passed away?
He has. Yeah. I remember seeing Bulldog. Would come to, I grew up in a small town in Missouri called Lebanon.
Yeah. I know you're from Lebanon. Yeah.
And they would come and do shows there. And I remember seeing Bulldog Bob Brown. He was a bad guy, and he scared me to death. I
thought he was going to come get you.
I did. He was a very scary man for a 10-year-old kid, And then when he would be beaten up, I can't remember who he was wrestling, but you just felt for that guy so bad.
Well, I think it's terrific. But you knew when you were little you wanted to be a wrestler.
Yeah, I come from a family of there's 7 kids. I have 3 brothers and 3 sisters.
Well, you learned early.
Yeah, and me and my brothers always watched wrestling. We just, a lot of my memories of wrestling are watching with my brothers and my dad, who was a big wrestling fan. It has a lot of that, how a lot of people compare that, like going to baseball games with their dad, their family stuff. Like professional wrestling is like that for me. I have a strong correlation between that and my family. A lot of good memories.
Do any of your brothers wrestle?
No.
Now?
No, they
You're
do
the
not.
only one?
Only one, yes.
I think that is really interesting.
Yeah.
Now, are you active in the martial arts as well?
Mixed martial arts. I fought last about 2 years ago, and I lost to a young kid, and I was winning that fight pretty handily. But there's a difference between, 22-year-old energy and 35-year-old energy.
No kidding.
Yeah, and I just could not, no matter what I did to this kid, I could not get him to quit or stop him. And he ended up catching me with a few good shots, and the referee stopped the match, or the fight.
And you thought, time to retire.
Oh, I was mad. Yeah, I was mad. I was just, really, really upset to lose that fight. And it's hard on my wife. It's hard. She doesn't mind the wrestling because she knows we're all buddies and stuff like that, but it's hard on her to have to see her husband, doing that, plus all the training that you have to do to compete in mixed martial arts is tough on her too. And I'm married older in life, and pretty much she's my number one concern now. So if it does anything to upset her, I usually don't do that.
Do you find, now you got to be honest with me here, Justin, do you find that it's more difficult for you now to do a wrestling match? Do you see any difference in your ability to perform? I guess that's really what I'm asking you.
Yeah. I'm not the guy to go out there and do a 25, 30-minute match every night. Save those for those young kids, who are coming up and can do all those bumps and stuff.
They huff and puff pretty good. I mean, it's hard work.
Yeah. It's not so much the cardio. It's just now that I'm in my mid-30s, it's not as, it's harder. It's just like, a lot of NFL football players take that abuse for 10 years and they have to retire, in their early 30s sometimes. Same with professional wrestling. It's very high impact and very hard on the body.
Well, and you got to keep up with the gym too.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, that's tough.
Yeah, but I enjoy exercise.
Do you?
Yeah.
I don't.
Yeah.
That's my problem.
Now the diet is.
Oh, I can't do that right now.
The diet's a little harder to stick to nowadays.
But you know what they say? Once you've wrestled, everything else in life is easy.
That's right. Everything gets the volume turned down just
I
a
think
little
that's
lower.
the truth. So I have to say, it has been such fun having you, Justin Appleberry, a.k.a. Michael Strider. And he is a wrestler and the sales manager at Ringside Boxing Combat Sports International.
Yes,
and we thank them for making a loan to us today.
Well, thank you.
So thank you, Justin. And thank all of you for being with us. And we might see you at Metro Pro Wrestling.
Come on down.
Okay.
See you there.
Fair enough.